Hi, I'm Henry Reyenga, president of Christian Leaders Institute, and I just wanted to pop in live to our students all over the world and talk about some exciting things here at Christian Leaders Institute. The first thing to me that's really exciting is that we're starting to understand how to blur the lines between digital and a physical campus. We have been blessed with a new world headquarters. It's an 8,000 square foot building in Spring Lake, Michigan. And in this building, we see the potential for bringing you high quality professors, presentations. We're excited about something coming up on October 13th. We're going to get an artist, Jeremy Camp, and his band here for a prayer service. These are some of the things that we'd like to just bring live all over the world. But this campus I want to talk a little bit about today and I'm going to show you the image right now. This campus, and again, this is just in the beginning stages. You might already see it in your digital campus as you log in. And this campus is going to have several digital buildings that when this is all done, you can just go right to those buildings and get your questions answered. You could watch some media. These buildings will have digital rooms. These rooms will allow you to be able to go and maybe go to a media center with a Facebook room. So we're working on ways in which you can easily access Christian Leaders Institute, whether you're on a phone or whether you're on a tablet or whether you're on a computer. So we're excited about some of the developments here. One of the things that we're going to work on is to be able to have like a campus where you can just walk over to Christian Leaders Church and visit the Alliance where ordinations are held. Maybe from the church, you'll walk over to the Vision Partners building, and possibly the Vision Partners building and the President's building will become one and the same. But you may walk over to that building and you can go into the rooms and find out more information on being a Vision Partner or being a Vision Partner Ambassador in setting up micro Bible colleges, seminaries, whatever you want to call them in your local area. You might walk over to the degree program building where if you're interested in a associate degree or a bachelor degree, you can do so. Hey, a little side note on that is we're also developing a Christian Leaders Enterprise degree program where we're working even with partners like Khan Academy, and we're working with other business leaders in our local area here to give practical advice about being enterprise leaders. We think about the Apostle Paul. Here the Apostle Paul was a ministry leader, but in his case, he also took responsibility for the enterprise that paid for his food and his lodging and his own personal finances. So these are areas we are moving into so that our ministry leaders can be those well-trained in ministry, but also well-trained in enterprise. And even if you are called to a local church, it's important that you understand enterprise, how to run the business side of a church and lead those who are in enterprise, who have jobs and so forth. So maybe after that, you'll leave that building and you'll walk over to the ministry training building. And the ministry training building has the various classrooms. Each class you've been taking, we're going to start seeing as a classroom. So if you're taking People Smart in Ministry, it's the People Smart in Ministry classroom. Or you're taking Greek, we'll actually have the Greek room where you go to that room and you take Greek. I don't know if any of you have taken Greek yet that are listening today, but that's a great class to take and learn to read the Bible in the original languages. We also, on our campus, have a translation center or translation buildings. And right now we're working on French and we're going to be working on Chinese and Spanish, but other buildings may be developed in this translation center. In general, you're going to spend a lot of your time in the Student Services building. In the Student Services building, you're going to be able to, maybe if you're not part of an Advanced Vision Partners program, you might want to purchase a verified certificate, and that's a service for you if you're interested. Of course, all of the ministry training is free. The classes are free. There's access to all our classes. But some of you may say, I want to get a certified certificate that I can show maybe a prospective employer, or a volunteer position comes up and you want to verify that you've done ministry training. You can go get some of those things there, or you can get a student ID there. For if you're not a Vision partner, you can still get those with a very nominal donation amount. So that's basically the nutshell description of the new digital campus. And I'm excited about these things happening. I'm here. If one of you have a question, you can just type that. If you're viewing on YouTube today, there's a way for you to type in a question, or I believe Facebook. And Wally, my program director, can maybe get those for you. I was talking with a prominent attorney, and we were talking about philosophy. And the philosophy, he happened to be a philosophy major in college, and I was a philosophy major in college. And one of the things that I learned in my philosophy is about the constructs in society, like those things in society that sort of move society. And one of the things that we talked about today was just the power of education, the power of training, where the Holy Spirit uses this training to give you the tools to bring revival into your area. And I shared with him my passion that this training becomes some of the best in the world, that revival leaders get this kind of training, and that this training would be in the donation model, the generosity-driven model, that your donations, that corporate donations, churches and so forth, create a place where anyone called into ministry may receive this ministry training free. And if some would like to participate further and donate for a verified certificate, fine. But that my heart is about making this available for everybody. And my heart is also that many of you will be called to join us as Christian leaders, Vision Partner Ambassadors, where you're holding classes in your local area. Some of you may benefit from holding these classes where you may yourself start a ministry to lead more people into ministry training. So the philosophy of Christian Leaders Institute is very simple. It's generosity-driven, high-quality ministry training. So before I leave you today live, if there's any questions, I don't know, Wally, if you got any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Some of the buildings, when you click them, don't go anywhere. Can you explain why?
Yeah, okay. People ask, we've been clicking buildings, they're not going anywhere. Well, actually, they will start going places in the next week. And what we're going to do is when you click a building, you're going to go to the actual building. Now, we could have put it up when it's all done, but I sort of like the ideas. We're just sort of in this together. We're on a journey. This is the first edition, so maybe some of you historians want to take a screenshot of this edition. The buildings may even change, but we're going to slowly, without preventing you from doing your ministry training, we're going to maybe be a little clunky at first, and we're going to not get there right away, but you're going to get the idea. I want you to start walking around the campus, even if it's not totally constructed. So that's a good question. Not all the buildings go someplace, but I will tell you that those buildings are there. And they're there in our thinking, they're there in our practice. We just need to organize a few things. And I want to compliment for all of you right now. My technology team here is fabulous. Jerry Lorenz is the senior technology guy, our program director. Wally De La Fonte is fantastic figuring this all out, and Frank, his assistant. So we have a top-notch staff, And as we work on this together, it's so fun to work with them. And they sort of they want to just, well, let's do it all and then bring it online. I'm of the opinion, I said, now let's just work on it under construction. Let's have fun with this. Maybe some students will have some ideas. But the campus, if you notice, is basically our logo. And there's a river that runs, or a lake, that's right there in the middle of our campus. And it's fascinating. In real life, that's how it is. We're located on Spring Lake here in Spring Lake, Michigan. And it's a lake that is a spring lake right connected to the Grand River. And if you look at an aerial view of the Grand River, it looks like the lake that we're located right next to. So it's kind of interesting that we sort of feel like that big body of water could be like Spring Lake, and there's a river that's the Grand River. And all of it to us is not only symbolic, because that river is the river of life, Jesus Christ, in our heart and mind. And the river of life that changes the world is Christ. And this campus is located drinking from that river of life in our hearts and our minds. Anyway, any other questions?
From Tanya.
Tanya, hi Tanya.
She wants to know if we'll be expanding to another state for on-campus training.
Okay, good question. Right now, our campus is this digital way, and then what we want to expand this mentor program in such a way that you, Tanya, can become a Vision Partners Ambassador. And there's some classes to take. And what you could do is create like a little mentor center, which is a campus in your area. And it could be a campus where you just invite your friends and other revival leaders in your area. We'll beam you all the education. Now remember, you need a mentor if you're not a pastor yet, but eventually as a Vision Partner Ambassador, you'll be the mentor. There may be an education Bible college right at your church or at your home. We'll beam the education there. And so we'll have multiple locations. This is only the world headquarter campus, but we'll have campuses all over the world. We'll have campuses in your state, and you'll be the director of the school. And we will bring to your little school the high quality education. We'll bring in some of the administration thing about degrees. Any of your students will go through the whole ministry training. Some of them may want to go to a seminary like Calvin or Western or Northern or Vision University, and others, they're starting to sign on to take CLI students. I'm going to sidetrack on accreditation. Well, what about accreditation in a local campus? Well, in a sense, they will be accredited through our equality religious education. We're associated with the International Bible Colleges and Seminary Organization out of Georgia, but it's a non-government accreditation. And the reason we do that, especially we think of places like China and others, do not want to be connected with any federal government, but we want to be connected to other peers in education and learning. So Dr. Randall Langley is the head of the organization we're connected to, and I know they're coming out with a new website pretty soon. So but all of that will still be given to your local mentor center thing as well. So as you get people and they get their quality education at Christian Leaders Institute, they will have that certificate, diplomas, degrees, whatever. But our goal is to help you raise up more revival leaders right in decentral locations like you. So though this is the academic digital campus and the center for places like the Alliance and Ordination and other things like that, our prayer is the decentralization of high quality education, and you might be one who will start that digital campus. So Tanya, I hope that answers your question.
We had another one earlier that asked, she's tried to get a mentor, ask people at churches. How do you go about finding
getting a mentor?
Especially
okay.
Since she's in the preaching class and she needs someone to read one person.
I see. Okay. That's always a question. And I would first of all say we're at the early days of this movement.
Her name is Bonnie.
Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. we're at the early days of this movement. And in the early days, things don't work as nicely as we want them to because we don't have critical mass yet. And a lot of pastors have no idea about this understanding of education. What do you mean? You're just going online, it can't be high quality, it's free. What could be good if it's free? So, so they think to themselves, no way. So when you say, will you be my mentor, Christian Leaders Institute? And then you give them the website, they look at it. And then sometimes what will happen is the thought that, mentor, I don't want to participate. And I can understand how you get that reaction. Now, here's sort of the thing that I've seen. One is I would look at the video that Steve Elzinga and I did on finding the mentors, and maybe that can give you some ideas. But here's one of the things that I would do. A is find a church that's open to your ministry dream. And hopefully you'll find some church that will help you. Find a pastor. Share with what your heart is, your calling. Now, some people say, well, I don't know if you're qualified for ministry. I don't really like you. I don't really like what you do and wherever. Well, that's like a closed door. But there will be another open door, I believe. And maybe the mentor will start with a mature believer. And maybe start there, and that's okay, because they're going to give you a lot. Maybe the mentor to do your sermon is one prayer partner. So you're going to do your sermon to one prayer partner, get their reaction. In a lot of ways, in the early days, for many of you, the mentor thing's working just fine. Some of you, it's very difficult. But know this. If you ask people and they're saying yes, that's a good indication that they can see that you have a ministry future. If you ask everybody, they all say no, ask them, why are you saying no? Now, you might not want to hear what they're saying, but then go deep with that a little bit. Well, why not? Well, in the past, you were that person, and I didn't really think you were walking with the Lord, and how could somebody from your past ever be in ministry? Then say, you know what? Christ has changed me. That's why I'm doing these free classes, but they're high quality and they're a lot of work. And, in a sense, make your case. And I'm okay, if you look back to the early church, in the very early of the early church, you'll see how Paul is dealing with these sort of things. Like in Corinth, all sorts of different practices were all around there, and in other places. But he had this passion. You know what? Let's try it. Let's grow. We're not done because that we can't find a mentor right now. We'll find one. We'll keep that certain passion to find one. So I know it can be very difficult, but I know, Bonnie, that the Lord has some people in your life that you can find, that you can ask, you can talk with, and maybe it's not going to be a pastor. Maybe it's just going to be a well-grounded believer who can help you along. I would, again, look at that video that we did. We'll make sure we put that link up today in the announcements so you can go back to look at that. Any other questions, Wally?
Bethany Gamble wants to know, any thoughts on expanding the degree program to offer other options besides divinity?
Yes, we're actually, it's funny you bring that up. This was Bonnie, you said?
No, this is Bethany.
Bethany, okay, Bethany. Yeah, it's great you brought that up. Well, we're working now on a enterprise side, especially for many who are gonna have to raise their own resources. But we're also developing something in counseling and chaplaincy right now. So we have a class that's probably 2/3 done on marriage and counseling. We have another class that we've finished the research on about narrative conversations. Now again, these are going to be volunteer type positions in churches or in church planting. We're not going to do a counseling degree that will have the accreditation that, let's say, a counseling service may need. But for churches you plant or churches you're with, this will be great for your resume if you're a women's ministry leader, if you're ministering to children. So we are working in other areas. I bring up this counseling thing because that's an area where the United States government has really strict concepts of what is a counseling degree. Now, from a ordination standpoint and a ministry standpoint, these certificates and degrees that we're working on in that area will be just fine. But I just want to be clear with you that the divinity fits our core essence of revival leaders. As we leave into some of those other functions, we go into them, but know that if you want to get a job at a counseling center, let's say at a hospital or something like that, we can't offer that degree right now. Now, maybe someday in the future, we possibly can. What we're working on now is a enterprise degree that's going to be coming up. We have the divinity degree, but we're also working on more focuses even within the divinity degree. Maybe that's the way to say it. We're working on focuses or emphasis in the divinity degree, such as, like chaplaincy or women's ministry and so forth. Very good question. I'm impressed by your questions here. Are there any other questions?
Well, there's two. There's one, Putthi.
Okay, Putthi.
He's saying he's in Cambodia and he's finished some CLI courses. So
Welcome, Putthi. Hello, Cambodia. That's you're a long ways. What time is it over there? I mean, I was like, what are you doing up right now? It's in the middle of the day. It's got to be the middle of the night over there. So what did Cambodia Putthi have to say?
I wanted to say that. I just wanted to give him a congratulations.
Oh, he just finished what?
He just finished some courses there, and he's just getting started. So
well, good job, and keep it up, and you are going to get a great ministry education, Putthi.
Nick Jones says perhaps CLI.
Hey, Nick.
Perhaps CLI could have a master list of Christian leaders or churches in local areas that would be willing to mentor.
Beautiful. We are going to be going to, and back to critical mass. I actually believe there will be a time, and I don't think it's going to be that far away, that vision partner ambassadors will be there, and you will be the mentors. See, in a lot of ways, we're in the first generation. Okay, so right now, we're needing outside help, and that's very important. But I believe down the road is we're going to have a culture, and leaders going to be raised up, and like in the early church, we're going to see all sorts of wonderful things happening. But, they're already happening here. I just want you to know they're already happening. And as these continue to grow, we'll start putting up like a directory. You know us with directories and profiles and all that, and we're going to do stuff like that, and it's going to happen organically. But eventually there will be critical mass. So thanks, Nick. Maybe, Nick, you're going to be one of these leaders in the whole mentor organizations all over the world. So thank you for asking. Any other questions today? But these are great questions so far.
Betsy wanted a little more clarification of what you meant by concentrations when you were talking about the degree. She said, I was a theater major with a concentration in acting. Is
okay.
That kind of how you were?
Yeah, that's kind of like the divinity with a concentration in counseling or pastoral care or women's ministry. It's that type of thing. Now, the divinity degree is a very historic degree, a historic bachelor for ordained leaders. Okay, so we don't want to really leave that historic. I mean, people understand it. On a resume, it's understood. So we want to stick around that word divinity. We don't want to brand ourselves as, no, we are a counseling college, because we're not. We're a revival factory. Okay, that's our goal, is to revival. And we want to service the kingdom of God, the church, in a lot of ways. So divinity is kind of awesome. Now, the reason we're doing enterprise is because if I look at the Apostle Paul, is here he clearly had an enterprise side to him. He made tents. Aquila and Priscilla, his friends, made tents. Lydia, they didn't want boring tents, so Lydia made dye so that purple tents. And then there was Philemon, sort of an investor. They're all along the Appian Way in the New Testament. So we can see that the enterprise side might be very helpful. It might be helpful for some of you, your children, or some of your grandchildren who cannot afford to go to college, but they want to be grounded in enterprise, but yet also ministry prize, so to speak, where they are volunteers at the local church, but they have enough enterprise, they have enough ministry to really create a powerful local culture of Christianity in your area. So I would say we're gonna, we'll have like simple degrees that fit our quality religious, and I use the word religious here sort of as a category that is to do with church, that's to do with Christianity, but quality religious degree that has emphases that we will keep adding as time goes on. These are incredible questions. I should maybe pop in every week, Wally. These are, just to talk with everybody. This is a new thing we offer, so our new campus is going to allow this. We like to blur the lines. You know what Wally is doing? Wally's going to put cameras in my president's office, so we can just pop in live. We have like a little coffee room, so we're gonna have cameras in there as we interview entrepreneurial leaders. We're gonna, in one of the rooms here, we're gonna have a TED Talk studio where professors can come in. Maybe there's a little audience. We have Jeremy Camp here. In his group, we'll have like a prayer service. Maybe we'll have a little singing and so forth. Beam that live to everybody. We'll capture it. Those who can't make the live broadcast can watch it later. So all of these things have been very helpful.
Iggy asked.
Iggy, pleased to meet you, Iggy.
How much is the degree earned in CLI recognized globally?
Okay.
In getting a ministerial job, and can he use that degree also to go for his master's in something? Yes.
Okay. What, like anything we were talking about before, things are really bubbling up great for Christian Leaders Institute. This morning when I met with that attorney and I showed him what we're doing, he's like, wow, look at these professors the Lord has brought. Look at the quality of the curriculum. Now, to be in the free space, that is the donation space, at first people are like, is a donation-driven, a generosity-driven ministry gonna really be that good? And so at first it takes a little time. Now, what we've found that happens is that you send a pastor, you send a church committee that's looking for a pastor, send them to our website. They go to our website, they just click around a little bit, they see the faculty. They go to the Facebook page and they see the 4.7 out of 5 rating testifying to the quality of education. They meet others who go to Christian Leaders Institute. The local pastor who has become your mentor, you put him on a reference or her on a reference, and then they call the reference and they go like, now you were this person's mentor. They a prospective church ministry employer says, so you were the mentor for Betsy. Yeah. And then this mentor says, hey, that Christian Leaders Institute, that is high quality ministry training, unbelievably good. I was the mentor. This person preached a sermon for me, and it goes on and on. Now, this is the early days. Now, slowly on, more and more credibility will come. We're accredited by a quality religious accrediting organization, but some will say, but that's not the federal government one. Well, they don't do the federal government one because they're in the generosity-driven model. They're not charging tuition. No one that comes to CLI, even for a bachelor degree, our administration donation of $1,800 that we even throw a coupon in there, our prayer is no one goes in debt. It's an entirely different way of thinking. This is in the freemium, that's what they call it on like Wikipedia, the freemium model of education, like the Khan Academy and so forth. But the Khan Academy, they don't supply accountability and so forth, but they supply content. Well, we're taking this content, bringing in the accountability, bringing in the verification in a way that works. And in the early days, yes, you are going to have some people that you're going to have to promote. So you have to be an ambassador out there promoting the concept. But in 10 years from now, people know that something needs to change in the education space. And Christian Leaders Institute is right there at the beginning of this. So again, there's going to be a little bit of convincing to go on because it seems like how can anything free be good? But don't worry, Betsy. In the early days, 5 years ago, I was myself worried about it because people were like, well, I don't know. But today, it doesn't take a lot of effort for me to feel concerned about it anymore. It's like, people may have an objection, but you mention a few things, show them the website, show them like Dr. Craig Van Gelder, a noted missiologist, give him that 30-second video, and it's like, oh, okay, have him take a class. Hey, just sign up yourself. And they go into the Getting Started class, they look at all the things that you guys have had to do on the Getting Started class, they're like, wow. And then they're in the ecosystem and they click on, they offer Greek. Whoa, Dr. Ted Hildebrand from Gordon College. Oh, they offer, ethics. Oh, they offer Theology 1 and 2 with Dr. David Fettis, our provost, graduate of Trinity International, Ted's University out of Illinois. See, it's not long. Okay, I'll end with this. Okay, just mention to them like a Calvin seminary will take your bachelor degree. Now Calvin Seminary, Western Seminary, Northern Baptist Seminary, those are 3 accredited institutions that do not take anybody unless the academics and the accountability was there. I went to Calvin, and I'm telling you right now, Calvin was hard. It was a hard place to get a degree from. They have high standards, and they're not going to just take this because Henry's a nice guy. Hi, I'm Henry, I'm a nice guy. Will you take our graduates? No. Even though they knew me, in fact, they probably knew me too well, kind of dyslexic, kind of like airheady at times a little bit. And you guys have seen enough of me, you know me. But, they're like looking at scrutiny, the whole saying, a prophet's not honored in his own town. Well, I would say that I wasn't necessarily honored even as a graduate, that they would just automatically take you as a graduate. But they're taking you as a graduate. Now, are they taking you like they would a federal accredited school? Yeah, they are, because they have a 15% of their students get to come from non-accredited by the federal government program. Great. The key issue is, will they take you? And they looked at our curriculum and they said, yes. So you can share with churches all over the place and whatnot. Hey, seminaries will take your bachelor degree in ministry. And these seminaries are not just any seminary. These are top tier seminaries that do not suffer fools. And you have the opportunity to go to even places like that. Now, having said that, you don't necessarily need to go to seminary if you're in a local place in ministry. If you want to go to their distance learning program, you can do that. Hey, Wally, our program guy, got accepted for the master's at Calvin Seminary now. And he's going to probably take some classes there and so forth, because he has a bachelor here at Christian Leaders Institute. We actually hired him out of El Paso. We don't have any job openings right now, anybody out there, but because we're just trying to keep it. But we need it. He happened to have a training in an area that we really needed, and we were really impressed that he did his ministry, and this is an ecosystem. Again, I believe we're in the early days of all of this. But don't despair, good things are coming. Anyway, that was a long answer. Sorry, Betsy, for going on and on about that. But, I wanted to really be clear, because if you have this question, many others have this question as well.
Yeah, that was for Iggy. And then Betsy.
Oh, Iggy, sorry.
Yeah, Betsy was on before, but then she also asked another little question.
Oh, go ahead, Betsy. I'm Iggy, Betsy. I apologize. Okay, this is very impromptu. And that's how we're going to be more and more in the future, just sort of connect with people. We won't necessarily be politically correct. I would just say what our heart is. And, anyway, sorry, I'll be quiet. Listen.
So Betsy is saying, I'm still a little fuzzy on the idea of mentor centers. Could you extrapolate a little more? I have students and I'm trying to mentor.
Perfect. Okay. If you remember back to the Getting Started class, we talked about everyone needs a mentor. Then you're the mentor. And how about mentor centers? These are movements where it's about small groups, but it's about getting others to have advanced training so they can be confident revival leaders. Now we have the Vision Partners Ambassador, who we give specific training. If you look to the classes, you need to have your People Smart in Ministry class, your first certificate, which is the Getting Started 2-part class, and you can take this class. So it is not a big deal. So you could have like 3 classes under your belt here and right away start a local ministry training school where you can invite others to help you along, and you guys could all get a bachelor's degree together and then include others in the center. Now in that ambassador program, there's even a affiliate network connection where some of you students may be able to get some part-time income. Now if you made a really big school, a larger amount of income. And the whole point is not to make anyone rich, but is to say, look, maybe you have to rent a building, you have to pay for that. Your time, you have to pay for your expenses. It's a very modest type of thing. Or don't even use our affiliate program. Just have like a little center, form a little ministry. Or if you're in a church, get permission to form a ministry that goes into the treasury of your local church, and you're on staff there. It's paid for itself. See, we don't, our goal is to create opportunities. So at that Vision Partners Ambassador class, you can find all kinds of opportunities. If some of you are called to do this, and some could be called to do it totally voluntarily, no money involved. But we'll beam everything to you. The only expenses will be some of these verification things that the creditors ask us to do. And that's like these small donations for certificates and so forth. And if you're a Vision Partner, if you're a giver to CLI, of course, any giver to CLI at the silver level and gold level and platinum level, a lot of that stuff we'll just send you because you're partnering with us as well. So I guess maybe to make a long answer shorter is, let's not just raise up revival leaders. Let's raise up the incubators that create more revival leaders. The idea is like you give someone a fish, and then you give them a fishing pole. So your training is your fishing pole. But what about this? Why don't we make fishing pole factories in your area for ministry? Now we want to do the same thing in an enterprise. So, but that's how I would look at it, is like, and I don't know what this all means in every local area, but I can tell you that some students have already done things like this. There's like a People's College in Chicago that has a mentor center, and they're meeting together, and there's more all over the globe that are starting to happen. But eventually, it wouldn't be neat if every town had a Christian Leaders Institute Bible college, with whose leader I never really met in person. Maybe we talk a little bit where we talk live with each other like this today, but who knows, maybe there'll be 100,000 ministry schools someday, and all these people will be raising up revival leaders, and we're setting up that moment until the Lord comes back where the gospel is preached effectively everywhere. Hey, why not? That's what I believe. Any other questions?
One of our students has a friend
who
would like to start maybe taking our courses, but he asked this question.
Okay.
He said, can a man become a man of God without hearing a direct call from God?
Okay. Can a person become a man of God without hearing a direct call? And that brings up a good question. I mean, in some, and I would look at it in some traditions, the understanding of calling is different. And, I've learned to honor all of them. In some places of faith, some local areas, it's a direct audible calling. Some places, it's a dream. Some places, the Lord speaks through an urgency or a passion. In the calling is the urgency and passion. But here's where I believe it's not a calling. Like Simon the sorcerer in the New Testament, where, wow, look at what's happening. I want to get on some, train here and hey, I can make money. That's not a calling. A calling is the urgency that you would do this, or you'd dream it, imagine it, think about it, even though you're not even going to be paid. Now, pay is part of it because we've got to provide for our family. If a man does not work, let him not eat. The Apostle Paul said it's the right to his right to receive a salary from the work he does for the gospel in a focused way. But here's something that is not a calling. Not a calling is I'm doing this as a profession. Christian Leaders Institute is not a profession. Now, if your friend feels the urgency, and the definition of calling could be in different places, because all of us are called, every believer is called to ministry of some form. So at least your friend is called to minister to their family, to their friends, to their local community. So in a lot of ways, he has a calling. And does he want to go deeper in that calling to learn more and then see if the fire of a ministry calling starts burning inside of him? Now, if it turns out that he's just getting these ministry training classes for his call as all believers, the priesthood of all believers to minister, fine. And that's good. But who knows? Start taking classes. The fire of a calling that could take him more could be inside of him. He doesn't quite feel that urgency yet, but he feels enough urgency to take a class. I would say just go for it.
Okay. Actually, have a question that she wanted answered from Brianna, our registrar.
Okay, a question from Brianna. Hey, Frank, go get Brianna a minute. We'll go get Brianna over here. Now, Brianna, I'll tell you, is sort of an introvert, and she is not going to, she's going to be sort of like, oh, no, you're putting me in front of a camera, but I think we're just going to do this. What do you think, Wally? Should we just,
I think so. It'd be fun.
It'll be fun. Fun. Do we have another question in between?
Well, what she wanted to talk about was the fact that some students are getting confused with the Vision Partner program and donating to there, and they're already paying into their degree. How is that different?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it is a little confusing right now, and essentially how we think of it is this. If you just have the resources for the degree program, then you're already going to get in the degree program a ID card and all of those things. And if you want to be a Vision Partner, even at the bronze level, just to get in part of it, just make one donation. We're trying to keep them a little separate because we want to, in a sense, the Vision Partner side is the cause of high quality ministry training as a ministry that you share with us. Whereas the degree program is basically, there's verification, there's accreditation, there's administration fees. And at this point, we're separating the two, mainly because in our budget, they're separated the two. I think I answered the question, but we're going to have Brianna answer it again, just because it's kind of going to be interested. And you'll get to see who Brianna is, especially those who are in the degree program. Brianna is someone who comes to us. She was a paralegal. She, now maybe she's not here. If she's out to lunch, then, is she here? Oh, we just missed her. Okay, we just missed her. I just answered the question for you. But we'll get her next time, right? Okay.
Right. Samantha asked.
Hi, Samantha.
If you're only 15, can you take classes here? One of our youth kids really wants to take some of the courses.
Oh, yeah. My daughter, Abigail, who is an intern here, who's 17, started taking classes at 12, and she took Greek 1, 2, 3. They just launched, and we did a little Greek mentor center with 4 or 5 people. That's a really good idea. And now she's taken several other classes along the way. And for homeschoolers, what's cool about, or what's a great opportunity is like a mom can go through, I got them through my, curriculum to high school. And hey, I think they should just take the divinity degree for their high school. And I'll add a few other classes, and moms will know that in homeschooling. But in the end of the day, they could be 18 years old and have a divinity degree. And then go on to, if they wanted to, accredited college, and their preparation for college will already be there, probably grounded in ministry even before that. Or the degree program we give may be all they need, especially as we add this enterprise side, where they're going to really be like versed in enterprise, and you could have a beautiful best of both worlds here for young people. If you're a mom or a 15-year-old, just go for it. We have a lot of young people here at Christian Leaders Institute under the age of 20, and I'm proud of every one of you for diving in and learning ministry.
So we have 2 praise reports.
Okay, we have 2 praise
Already.
reports. Okay.
One is from Betsy.
Okay, let's hear it.
She says, my understanding starts with understanding the vision. I have 20 students that are signing up for the beginners class this year. It's a perfect start.
Perfect. Well, good job, Betsy. You have a mentor center. You are already doing it, and we're going to see what God does with this. I mean, this is going to be, I believe, formative in raising up revival leaders. Now, is she working with young people? Is this?
I think she did say that she's working with, let me see, she calls them students. I'm not sure if they're young.
Okay, well, I mean, whatever, Betsy, that is, good job, and we want to support you in your vision.
And then Iggy was the one that had that friend that asked about the calling.
Okay, Iggy had a friend asking about the calling.
He said, my colleague is saying, big thank you, sir, for your answer, and he just told me he'll be enrolling into one of the courses to become a ministerial journey and also become a Christ ambassador here in Nigeria. All
right, so we have a new Vision Partners Ambassador in training in Nigeria, and just go for it. Like in Nigeria, you know what I've seen work in Nigeria is you create sort of like a local internet hub. Everybody can use their phones. I know you Nigerians, Nigeria is one of the most blessed nations in Africa. By the way, for other people to know that there's Egypt is number 1, South Africa number 2, and Nigeria number 3 in terms of people with means and prosperity. Now, people will say like, oh, those are just poor nations. They are not poor nations. These are people. You Africans have so much potential. These African students here, and you know what I've learned? I'm going to do a little side track here. I am so impressed with what God is doing in every single country of the world. And I believe that there can be mentor centers, and very appropriate in the internet, beamed everywhere. We'll do the beaming, you do the encouraging. And we're going to see in our time revival leaders raised up we're in 160 countries, and there's going to be more. There's going to be graduates all over the place. So, I mean, I'm so pumped about all of your work. Wow.
Just a quick, Betsy says that she has students from 14 to 22, and they're a theater company with a biblical worldview.
A theater company with a biblical worldview. Outstanding, Betsy. You know what? We got to get a Skype interview with Betsy. Say, Betsy, connect with Wally. I'd love to, because I more and more want to do that. And same with you, Izzy, and others, to get your story out. What God is doing in this age, and we're part of something very special.
Shad asks.
Chad, okay. Chad, okay.
He's asking, he's enjoying the teaching lessons so far and growing more in our Lord. I understand that there are video lessons, but what about turning them into text for people like me that work a lot and can do more studying with text lessons, I guess reading it through, and then what about an app for our studying like off the iPhone right now?
Okay. 3 questions. One is, what about, the issue with the video, and we have the video and we have materials. Okay, now our creditors and we have to come off like a school. If we didn't have lectures and people teaching, it could hurt your ability to utilize this education. So we do have a little bit of a sticky wicket there, they call it. More and more, we have the materials. We're talking and we're working on it right now is having transcripts of the messages. I think we're working on that project.
Closed captioning so we can turn them into transcripts.
Okay, so actually, there's things happening around here I don't even totally know about, but my program director, Wally, just said we're working on transcripts of all the presentations.
Every video, we're starting from the beginning. And
every video, starting from video, okay.
And now the videos will also be closed captioned.
Okay, so as we go forward, we'll have closed caption videos and transcripts of the videos, and all of these things will be made as a resource down the road. Again, these are things because you're making donations, everybody, and you're doing this. Wally, you actually have a staff person that's working on some of these things. So, yeah, okay, so yes on that. Okay, what was the third question?
About an app.
Oh, okay. That little campus that we've been showing you here is basically, it's more than just a little digital campus. What we're going to do with that is there's this thing in the world called responsive design, where if on a cell phone it appears this way, on a tablet it appears this way, and on the computer it appears this way. Well, part of this whole digital campus is to make everything appear native to the device you're at. So much so that we don't have to bother with an app. Here's the problem with an app. We could spend, $50,000, $60,000, or $25,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. And then little changes, then the app has to be updated. It's very expensive. I'd rather plow that money into more classes and more raising up of revival leaders. So then, to answer that question about an app, we want to make it that this campus goes onto your cell phone and so forth in such a way that it is an app. It functions as an app. But then when we update it, we're just updating our interface. That's the technical word for it. We're updating our computer, we're updating our digital campus, but it will work on all devices. So an app is probably not going to be in the future, but we're going to function like an app on your local phone as you do Christian Leaders Institute here at the local phone. Are we good?
And yeah, I think we're good. You could just mention, I actually got my entire bachelor degree using my phone.
Okay, I think I need a drink here. Our program director got his entire bachelor degree from using the phone. So how awesome is that? So that's really what we're trying to do. I have any more questions, or I'm going to close in prayer? We're good. This is excellent. I hope this was helpful. Give me feedback if you want to kind of chime in and talk with me on a regular basis. Eventually, we'll be broadcasting from my president's office. But my goal is to, answer your questions, spend a little time with you, and do my best to support you in your ministry training journey. I'm proud of you in the Lord. I'm so happy with what you're doing, and I want you to keep it up. So here, I'll get a little drink before I pray here. Thank you, Frank. I could not be more impressed that you are competent to go forward and called in ministry. So let's end our time with prayer. Lord, I am so moved at the questions, the responses of students, and what's happening here at Christian Leaders Institute. I'm moved for many reasons. I'm moved because, first of all, you've raised up these leaders whose hearts are set for ministry. And I'm humbled that CLI, Christian Leaders Institute, gets an opportunity to speak into these lives and give training. Lord, I'm also impressed that what you are doing. And I pray for the Holy Spirit to fill our students and help them be a fierce army of God. And may they not just be characterized by their fierceness, but it may be a fierce love. May it be a fierce joy. May it be a urgent, overwhelming, grace-filled walk that our students, called by God to minister to people in their neighborhoods. We pray that new mentor centers, micro seminaries, micro Bible colleges, micro ministry training schools will be raised up all over. Lord, I commit each graduate, each student to you now. May your grace be upon them in Jesus' name. Amen. Anyway, I am so glad to be here today. Tomorrow we have a live service at 11 o'clock. It's the last installment of this book from Reverend Steve Elzinga. So maybe I'll check in with you a little bit tomorrow. That's at 11 o'clock. And I look forward to talking shortly with Vision Partners I'm excited to maybe give some extra training for you and some extra things that we can just really come alongside of you. I'm excited about these suggestions you're giving, even like a clearinghouse of ministry opportunities. Someday we're actually talking about some of those things. So I say goodbye, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.